Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. We're going to talk about relationships here again today. We've talked about them quite a bit here over the last couple of weeks as we go through the text of A Course in Miracles. We're in the middle of chapter 17 here, and today we move on to section 4, which is known as the two pictures. And we'll say more about that in the days to come. But what I want to focus on today are our relationships here in the world and how they get in our way of awakening. Hmm. All right. A great amount of resistance to learning this course stems from this very subject, our relationships, and how we're getting in our own way with them. A great amount of resistance comes from this very discussion. So don't say no one told you when it comes up, because it will. It's going to. Not surprisingly, here in the world, we have everything upside down and backwards. We don't have any problem acknowledging that on a surface level. I mean, it's easy to nod your head and say, oh, uh-huh, yeah, yeah, right. That's true. When a talking head like this pixelated image on your screen brings this up, or you read it in the text of A Course in Miracles or any other spiritual document, the action and our resistance kicks in when we go to really, truly apply these teachings, which, of course, is how we learn them the best. Understanding the talking head is one thing. I mean, it is. It's somewhat important, right, to understand these ideas somewhat. What's really important is to experience the truth of them. How do we do that? We put them into practice. Spirituality is all about experience. So we can easily say, okay, well, yeah, you're right. Talking head on the screen, whoever you are, this is nothing special, by the way. An assemblage of pixels. Just saying. When something lands for you, it's the Holy Spirit, and you may absolutely count on that. We don't see things as they are. So this applies to our relationships. Now, we elevate our relationships in this world to an incredibly high status, an iconic status. We identify with them. We do. We identify with our relationships and we place a lot of emphasis upon them and a lot of attention. Now, these relationships have a name here in A Course in Miracles. The Course refers to these relationships that we so cherish and adore here in the world as special relationships. Now, here in the world, we think of special as being something that we esteem more than something else. Well, yeah, we think that's a value in the world. Come to honestly look at this course and study this course, and we realize that's a problem. Big problem. Why? There is no specialness. We are making a judgment, a value judgment when we place our relationship with one person or a group of people over our relationship with another. We see what's happening here, yes? The separation remains intact. We maintain the separation through the use of our special relationships, our special love relationships, and our special hate relationships. There is no difference. That is simply a difference in form. The content of them is exactly the same, to preserve the separation at all costs. So we form these relationships and we go out and do life. We have special love relationships where we esteem one person more than someone else. We draw an artificial division between them. Yeah, it's a value judgment. This person means more than this person. This group of people means everything to me, but these guys, bye bye. That kind of thing. And we don't think about it because we've been conditioned to do it. So it's not just in our special relationships with the people that we love, like our spouse, yeah, like our wives, our husbands. It's not just with our kids or our friends. It's everyone and everything. And the special hate relationship is no different. We hate somebody more than someone else. We hate this person more than this person. This person sucks. This person's beautiful. This person's Satan incarnate. There's no such thing as Satan, by the way. This person is beautiful, an angel. Politics, one party's great, yours, the other one sucks, and the others are all evil. That's just a classic example of the ego at play. It's a special hate relationship and a special love relationship. As we can see with that example, there's no difference between the two. We're singling out and slicing and dicing reality to fit what? Our own individual value judgments. So we see, because we're having a conversation about spirituality, how that impacts us. It keeps us stuck. The real function of relationships is the function that God gave them in creation, as in our creation, to make happy. So we don't use the special relationship to make happy. We don't use it to join because, in and of itself, by definition, it is exclusive. At this point, our minds may really run amok, but stay with the Holy Spirit here. Stay with Jesus because he knows what he's talking about. This is a pixelated image on your screen. When anything lands, it's him. It's not me. Count on that. Again, we just don't get it right here. We're not using our relationships to make happy when we continue to judge. We're not using our relationships to make happy when we draw one value judgment after another and separate and divide and condemn those who don't appear to be in our cherished and esteemed inner circle. That's what's going on, and it happens all the time in our mind until we change it. Enter A Course in Miracles. So welcome. What do we do? Well, our mind freaks out at this conversation. If your mind is freaking out, you are not alone. Every single course student has had this freak out because we go to a really unhelpful place almost automatically as a default, and that is in thinking that we can't have anything nice. We can't have a special love relationship because it's not spiritual. Oh, well, I beg to differ. I'll tell you more what I mean about that in a moment. We freak out and we think that we can't have anything nice, that nothing that we cherish is worth anything. Oh, no. Here's the deal. The Holy Spirit would not deprive you of your special relationship. Understand this. The Holy Spirit would not, will not, and does not deprive you of your special relationships. Happily married? Good. Stay happily married. I'm very happily married. You may be too. And if you're not, no problem. You have special relationships in your life with people that you love, with maybe a cause that you love, or a place that you love to go hiking or something, or the place that you live as opposed to someplace else, right? I mean, we have all of these in our lives. The Holy Spirit would not rip them out from under you. So don't get him wrong. Don't get pixelated image on your screen wrong either. You can keep your special relationships, but just understand what they are in the hands of the ego. Division, separation, continued separation. Here's what you do. Give them over to the Holy Spirit. Do just that. Give your special relationships over to the Holy Spirit for his purposes. Offer the Holy Spirit your marriage if you're married. Offer the Holy Spirit your intimate relationship for his purposes. That makes it holy. And watch the light stream forth from there. Watch, just watch. Don't believe me? Do it and watch. Don't just watch me do it, but you can if you want to. Do it yourself and learn through your direct experience. The Holy Spirit will never deprive you of your special relationship. He has a great use for it, so give it to him. That's what we do with those. We see them utterly transformed, and it leads to much happiness and joy. You'll have to experience that for yourself. You don't have to believe a single word that pixelated image is saying. If you're just stumbling upon this video and you're watching this channel for the first time, welcome. I refer to myself as a pixelated image on your screen. Yeah, well, that's what's talking to you. You may wonder why I'm doing that. Let's all disidentify with the physical body a little bit, shall we? You're not a body and you know this. This is spirituality that we're talking about. By the way, A Course in Miracles drives this point home in not one, not two, but 20 consecutive lessons in the middle of the workbook for students. So it's a familiar refrain. Part of us is always known. So, how do we make our relationships in the world holy and beneficial and put them to really good use? Give them over to the Holy Spirit. He won't deprive you of them. If you're involved in politics, stay involved in politics. Who cares? Give your involvement over to the Holy Spirit. Mm, do that. See, we use, when we identify as the ego, we use our special relationships, both love and hate, to completely occupy our mind so we don't hear the call of the Holy Spirit to awaken. We so preoccupy ourselves with our relationships that we cannot hear the call of the Holy Spirit, the call to awaken, which goes out to all of us at all times, 24/7. We so preoccupy ourselves and busy ourselves with one special relationship after another, elevating it to a godlike status. Ever elevated your relationship? And anyone that identifies with their relationship has done this. And it doesn't have to be just your intimate relationships either. I'm talking about all of them, all of them. Business, yeah, all of it. We so preoccupy ourselves with specialness, with exclusion and individuality that we can't see. We're running around dazed and confused. All you have to do is look around you to be able to tell that's obvious. We do it to avoid truth. That's not flattering at all, is it? But honesty is required of us here on the spiritual path. And this course doesn't mess around. You deserve a direct approach. Do you not? Of course you do, right? We all say that we want somebody in the world to give it to us straight. Well, there you go. Give your relationships, all of them, over to the Holy Spirit for his purposes. We would all readily agree that the ego is insane. It's why we're on the spiritual path in the first place, because we know that deep down. Doesn't mean we're ready and willing to choose to accept that, of course, but we do know, we recognize deep down that the ego is nutso, cray cray, and completely insane, random, and has us on one wild goose chase after another, spinning in a circle and wondering why we're not going anywhere, and wondering why we're exhausted. Hamster wheel comes immediately to mind. Yeah, we have the ability to stop running on the hamster wheel and step off because there's no cage keeping us there. We can stop and get off. Get off the wild ride. Can. Each of us has this choice. Yet somehow we want to hang on to this specialness. We delude ourselves into thinking that somehow our special relationships are different than the rest of these other separation devices. I know it's just different somehow. It's better. That's a separation device. There is no such thing as better, best, or worst. That is a value judgment. It is a separation. There is no separation of any kind. So we discover, and something that we often refuse to accept, that we've got to give all of our special relationships to the Holy Spirit. Our forgiveness, in other words, has to be complete, total, or it's not at all. We can't reserve special pockets of love where we adore someone or a group of people more than someone else. See how that's a separation, yeah? You can't have it. We've got to love completely. Love is completely abstract after all. It is not limited to a union between two groups of people or two individual people. It's not limited to that, is it? It's completely abstract. It is total. So we've got to see it as total. And how do we do that? We give over all of our relationships to your inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, feel welcome, by the way, to call the Holy Spirit whatever you like. This course uses terms that people that have been raised in a Judeo Christian tradition will be well familiar with: God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. Yeah. Terms like that. In fact, it calls the Holy Spirit he and him, uses the masculine pronouns. That's simply a matter of convention. The Holy Spirit is not human. It's not a guy, nor is it a woman. However, you're welcome to call it, whatever you want. You may call it your team, your group of spiritual CEOs, your guides, plural, if you want to. Those are all simply names. I mean, even right here in A Course in Miracles, the Holy Spirit goes by many names, is known by many different things. I continually refer to the Holy Spirit as our inner teacher. And I do most certainly wish to emphasize the inner. The Holy Spirit is part of you. If you've ever wondered what the Holy Spirit is, I used to ask that question as a kid in Sunday school. And I can't remember anyone really having a satisfactory answer for that. I don't know. I mean, maybe you did get that, maybe not. But the Holy Spirit is part of our mind. And this part of our mind knows who we really are. It knows truth, sees truth, and will lead us there. The Holy Spirit will guide us and help us set aside all of our drama, all of these judgments that we continue to enact in our special love and hate relationships in the world here. We do it all the time. Set all of that aside. Forgive, set it aside, forgive, set it aside, rinse, repeat until we see things as they really are. Then, and only then, truth dawns of itself. That's full awakening, enlightenment, or call it whatever you want to call it. That's how you do it. So you can see just from a 20 to 25-minute discussion the kind of resistance that arises here. Expect that, please expect that on the path. If you're really serious about learning this course, you can expect the ego to no longer pretend it's your little buddy and go to war against you and try to convince you that you're nuts. And if that doesn't work, it's going to try to convince you that this, which is nothing special, is nuts, that the course itself is nuts, that Jesus has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. What does he know anyway? It will say things like that. You will think these things. Will you be disturbed? Well, you might. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Expect all of this to arise. What do you do? Forgive it. Appeal to your inner teacher for guidance. Remember, the Holy Spirit's part of you. It's not some outside foreign power. There is no outside foreign power. You know what that means. I invite you to go there directly. Excellent. All right. So, as a practical matter, it's really important just to be honest with ourselves, isn't it? I mean, this resistance is going to come up. This is not all rainbows and unicorns. A Course in Miracles aims to clarify our perception. It is a valuable, precious tool to help us change our mind. And we can expect these moments along the way. So, what do? We appeal to our inner teacher for guidance. He'll always answer. After all, it's part of your mind, it's part of you. Appeal to this part of your mind that knows, especially if you want to know, really. Ask. And along the way, you're more than welcome to ask a human teacher. And I use that term rather loosely, as you can tell. Pixelated image on your screen only appears to resemble a middle-aged man from Arizona. I mean, that's what it appears to be. But I insist that when something lands for you, it's the Holy Spirit. Now, you're welcome to ask me any questions that you may have. And in fact, this forum here in the comments on YouTube is the perfect place to do just that. So, any questions or comments, or if you just want to pop in and say hello, please do. I'd love to hear from you. If you have not yet subscribed, I'd love to have you join us. This is the prompt here, that arrow in the corner of your screen. Click that. It'll say subscribe. And when you do, you'll get several videos each week. And well, spirituality is constant. So it doesn't do a whole lot of good to just have a video every so often. This is a self-study curriculum. And yeah, we take what we're willing to take on a given day. But repetition's good for us. Yeah. So I appreciate your joining me here today, as always. And again, subscribe if you have not. That's the prompt. Questions are always most welcome, and I will see you again very soon.